there's so many different ways to pray, that we have to really balance all that. And you're going to experience that. Who helps out with youth ministry already in their parishes? And who's had to lead prayer before in their parishes? You know, whether it's a youth group or with a small group or whatever. It can be tough, can't it? Who raise your hand if you're just like, man, that was a piece of cake. I'll do that anyway. It's tough. You have to put a lot of planning into it. You have to put a lot of prayer into it. There's a lot of prayer that goes into leading prayer, of course. You can't lead prayer if you're not a man or woman of prayer. So the point of this this week, and as I've reflected on my own experience of faithful servant, and also on what I've heard today, of course the program changes just a little every year, so it's good to see that the program has had a good start, is to become apostolic in your life. We're all called to different vocations in the church. Some are called to the clerical state, some to the married state, some to the lay faithful state, and some to the religious state. There's those different vocations. We're all called to holiness, and we all have, as Emmy mentioned earlier today, the baptismal roles of priest, prophet, and king. And as priests, we offer sacrifices in our own lives for the well-being of the church. The priest does that in an official way when he offers the sacrifice of the Mass, when he spends and consumes himself in the sacraments. But we have that baptismal role. We also have priest-prophet. We have that mission to go out and tell the world about the saving news of Christ's passion and death, of his life. And that's a beautiful role in itself that we're all called to. And then as a king, to govern rightly those things that are given to our care. As leaders, you're going to be given a lot of different groups to care for. And sometimes that group cares for you, and sometimes you have to care for the group. It all depends. It's a give and take, go with the flow sort of relationship when you're a leader. But all leaders, and this is what makes Christian leadership so important, is all leaders must be centered on Christ. You go into an office space, to a regular board meeting. I'll call it a privilege out of the sake of charity, the privilege of working at a country club my first 2 summers while I was a seminarian. I went home. It wasn't a great experience, which is why I said I'll call it a privilege. And we would get together for like the work group meetings where all the servers would get together beforehand and stuff. And there was a real difference in the way that our bosses and in the servers that I worked with who were in charge of the group, the way that they handled themselves and gave the orders and commands to the rest of us when we were getting ready to wait for a bank